Welcome back, database. More live reading of Who Censored Roger Rabbit by Gary Wolfe. Alright, let's begin. Chapter 8. I sat in Roger's living room, doing my best to swallow a chuckle. Somebody attacked you with what? A custard cream pie. Roger repeated, nervously fidgeting with the pie tin balanced on his lap. I was on my way home from an early photo session at Carol Masters. There's when somebody jumped out from behind a tree and smacked me in the face with a custard cream pie. It must have been a practical joke. Nobody could kill you with a pie. Oh, you're wrong indeed. You're wrong indeed. They could, in the classic comic Pie Toss, somebody plops you in the kisser, coming straight in to get the maximum splatter, and then pulls up a short so as not to mash in your nose. The pie tin slithers off, and that's it. Not this fellow. Rodger fanned out his fingers and scrunched them into his face to demonstrate the angle of attack. He came in from about shoulder level, so the custard blocked off my mouth and nose. Then he gave it kind of a half twist, so the whipped cream flew up and covered my eyes. And he didn't let go. He held that pie so tightly against my face that I couldn't breathe. I kicked him a hearty one in the shins, and I guess I connected because he grunted, dropped his pie, and ran away. You get a look at him? No. He had turned the corner before I got my eyes scooped off. Human or toon? Could you tell me that? Could you tell that? No, I'm sorry. I checked around for witnesses, but drew a blank. He held up a 9-inch, a standard 9-inch aluminum pie tin covered with half an inch of dried custard. The custard had solidified into a perfect outline of his mouth and nose. I did retrieve the weapons, though. He handed me the tin. I examined it from front and back. No prints evident, but it did bear the stamped-in name of an address of a nearby neighborhood pie shop. I wrapped the tin as best as I could into my handkerchief. I'll check it out, I said, even though I suspect that this was most likely nothing more than a juvenile prank. Prank? Angry whipcords of steam puffed out of the rabbit's nostrils and heated his nose to the color of an apple. How can you say prank? It was those DeGreasy brothers. They tried to smother me. If we don't stop them, they'll try again. And next time, they might not miss. Believe what you want. Just be aware that, in my opinion, the pie guy has no connection with your other predicament. And chasing after him will most likely be a big waste of effort. Pie tin in hand, I got up and headed for the door, where I stopped and turned, and almost as an afterthought said, "By the way, I talked to your wife today." Rodger couldn't have brightened up any quicker had he plugged his tail into an electrical outlet. Jessica? You saw Jessica? Did you give her my message? Yes. What did you say? I hit him with the only way I knew how. Hard, fast, and straight to the chops. Leave tack to slick talkers wearing pressed three-piece suit. If you had a terminal illness, I tell you point blank, not to start any all-day suckers. She's not coming back to you. And she said the reason she's not is because it was you, not her, that changed. She said you used to be a fun guy, but that after you got your contract, you turned into an ogre. She said she couldn't take it, so she left you. She said that? Jessica said that? Tiny dots that gave color to Rodger's skin concealed into splotches so large that, given an ear bob and a transplanted tail, he could have passed for a calico cat. Well, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. Me, an ogre? He launched a partial balloon, but the frame ha ha inside fizzled out through the balloon's stem with a resounding blat splattering across the rug. She also said a few other things, such as, I'm not sure you want to hear them. I'm a big buddy, I could take it. Suit yourself. She said you were nuts. She also said you had no talent. She doesn't mean any of it, not any of it. Rocco is pressuring her to say those things. She said she also insisted that you made up the part about the degree C's promising you your own strip. Whittle on that Rocco degree C. Rodger's word balloon had originally contained something far stronger, but always conscious of his family-rated image, he hastily X'd it out and replaced it with a statement less profane. He has some evil hold over Jessica. For the year Jessica and I were together, we were as in love as two people can be. There was no faking how she felt about me. She couldn't possibly have reversed herself so quickly. Rocco forced her to leave me, and he's forcing her to say things about me that she doesn't mean. I want you to find out how he's doing it, and I want you to make him stop. Rodger crossed his hands over his head, but couldn't cork the flood of tear-shaped balloons blubbering out of him. I nodded as though I really took seriously this whole monumental bit of goofiness. Exactly what I plan to do next. Chapter 9. Carol Masters wasn't at her studio, so I tried her home. She lived in a partially tuned human neighborhood that real estate agents call ethnically enriched and urban renewers called blatant. Depending on which way you happen to be facing forward towards the gossiping front stoop tune and human housewives, or towards the babbling back alley tune and human drunks, either term could apply. Carol's, I was apartment occupied half a floor in what had been in the late 40s a fashionable row house. Now it and the houses linked together on either side of it resembled a rickety roller coaster, already well over its summit and plunging pell-mell on its long run downhill. Carol's doorbell wires drooped stiffly outside, out of their housing like twin copper fangs. So I rapped on the door. Carol answered it, dressed like she had been at her studio, and invited me in. I took immediate liking to her home decoration. No wall to wall furniture to trip you up every time you went to the kitchen for a late night beer. No chins to gather dust. A few comfortable chairs placed for easy face to face conversation. Some scattered and tables and a colorful rainbow painted across those two walls, culminating on each end in framed display of Carol's photographs. Her record collection filled most of a 6 foot long shelf, bluegrass to the center, with a few rock records tacking down the either end. She told me to pour myself a drink. When she finished processing some photos in a darkroom she had rigged up in her bedroom closet, I checked my watch. I never drank until after 6. It was then 4:14, close enough. I buried the bottom of a glass under 3 fingers of bourbon, walked into the bedroom after her, and sat down on her bed. There wasn't much to be said for this room's decor. Her clothes, mostly sweaters, shirts, and jeans, hyphenated at irregular intervals by a few frilly party members, hung on a trapeze-style bar suspended from the ceiling. She had cameras, lenses, carrying cases, and other equipment I couldn't identify scattered everywhere. I could smell her photographic chemicals, even though through the closed closet door. She came out after a few minutes carrying some wet prints. "Let me just put these in the dryer," she said. She placed the prints into a small contraption set on top of her dresser. I came up behind her and looked over her shoulder at her prints. 5 copies of the same Baby Herman strip. "How come you don't do this at your studio?" "I work when the mood strikes me," she answered. "There's no punching a time clock when it comes to creativity." I didn't quite see the creativity involved in smelling up a bedroom by running off 5 identical prints. But who was I to question art? "How did you get into this business?" I asked while she finished loading up the dryer. "I started out processing film for a small comic book publisher. He gave me a chance to shoot some complete episodes. I liked it, was good at it, and so went upward from there." We went back to the living room where Carol pulled herself a duplicate of my drink and sank into an easy chair that was slip covered in a pastel print. The chair nearly swallowed her small body whole. Is this visit business or pleasure? I passed up the other easy chair in favor of a wooden kitchen chair, which, as usual, I straddled in reverse. Let's start with business. I'm just wrapping up Rodger's case. If you could clarify a few minor points, that should do it. However, I can give him. Give me some background on the syndicate. How long have you worked for the DeGreases? About 5 years.
And that's where we're going to end for tonight. All right, see you all next time.